This story is simple, but the truth inside it is not. Someone on Pine Street is lying. Every voice you're about to hear, every decision that was made, leads to one person. Pay attention, because the answer isn't given to you. It's hidden. By the end of this story, you won't be asking what happened. You'll be asking, who did it? The full story is coming soon, so make sure you subscribe and turn on notifications. You won't want to miss a single clue. Get ready to uncover the truth. See you there. This story starts with a poster that shouldn't exist, because the person on it was standing right there, reading it. And the most disturbing part, the poster was already 3 days old. This is the story of how I found out I was missing. It was 7:40 in the morning. Same road, same sidewalk, same coffee shop. The kind of routine your brain stops paying attention to after a while. It's a comfortable, predictable loop. You walk, you sip your coffee, you get to work, and you don't think twice about the details. But on this particular Friday, the loop broke. That's when I saw it. Stapled to a street pole, just past the coffee shop, was a missing person poster. Now, you see these things sometimes. It's sad, but it's part of city life. You glance at the face, hope they're found, and you move on. So at first, I didn't stop. I took a few more steps down the sidewalk, the image of the poster just to blur my peripheral vision. But then my body did something strange. It stopped before my mind could even catch up. My feet just froze on the concrete, like they knew something I didn't. I turned around, slowly, and walked back to the pole. The face on the poster looked familiar. Too familiar. It was me. I stood there, heart pounding in my ears, just staring. It felt like the world had gone silent. It had to be a prank, right? Cruel joke. But the details were too perfect. Same scar just above my right eyebrow from a childhood accident. Same black jacket I was wearing at that exact moment. Same name. Same age. Everything was correct. And then my eyes landed on one line, circled in a thick, red marker. Last seen 3 days ago. 3 days. I quickly pulled out my phone, my hands shaking a little. I checked the date. Today was Friday. That meant I was last seen on Tuesday, but that was impossible. I went to work on Wednesday, and Thursday, I was here now. How could I be missing? My mind was racing, trying to find a logical explanation, but logic had left the building. My gaze drifted to the bottom of the poster. There was a contact number, a single phone number, printed in bold black ink. Who would I be calling? The person who reported me missing. The police? A friend pulling a tasteless prank. I stared at that number for what felt like an eternity. Every instinct, every fiber of my being screamed at me to just walk away, tear the poster down, and forget I ever saw it. But the one thing I couldn't ignore was the cold dread creeping up my spine. So I did the worst thing possible. Primera, calle d'Italiano. The phone rang just once. It was so quick, I barely had time to brace myself. Then, someone picked up. There was no greeting, no hello. Just a low, raspy voice on the other end. It said, "You weren't supposed to see that yet." Before I could even ask who it was, or what they meant, the line went dead. I stood there, phone pressed to my ear, listening to the silence. Chills ran down my entire body. Not yet. What did that mean? What was supposed to happen? I stumbled home in a daze, the city sounds fading into a dull roar. I needed proof. Proof that I was still me, that my life was my own. I burst into my apartment, locking the door behind me. Everything looked normal. My keys were in the bowl by the door. My coat was on its hook. The mail was on the table. It was my space, but then I noticed something small. Something I would have otherwise ignored. In the kitchen sink, there were 3 plates, 3 forks, and 3 glasses. I live alone. Primera, Olwa, Eat. I never have guests over during the week. Why were there 3 of everything? It felt like evidence of a life I hadn't lived, a ghost in my own home. My heart was hammering against my ribs. I grabbed my phone, a new, terrible idea forming in my head. I opened my photo gallery and scrolled back, past today's non-existent photos, past yesterday, back 3 days to Tuesday. And there they were, photos I don't remember taking, pictures of parks I've never been to, streets I don't recognize, cafes I've never visited. It was a visual diary of a life that wasn't mine. And in every single photo, someone was standing just behind me. Out of focus, always blurred, but definitely there, a shadowy figure, just over my shoulder. Always watching. And that's when the terrifying realization hit me like a physical blow. The poster wasn't wrong. I was missing. Just not physically, not in the way you'd think. Something else had been here. Something had taken my place for the past 3 days. Something that looked close enough to pass. To go to my job, to eat in my apartment. Something that was living my life while I was gone. And it was still out there. The next morning, I walked the same route, driven by a morbid curiosity I couldn't control. The poster was gone. The pole was bare for a moment, and I almost felt a flicker of relief. But in its place, there was a new one, a different photo of me, one I'd never seen before. The name was the same, but this time the description at the bottom read, "If you see him, don't tell him." So tell me, if the missing person is standing right in front of you, who is it really gonna? Comment your theory below. I need to know what you think is happening. Most home robberies happen when no one's home. That's what we're told. But this one happened while I was sitting in the next room. And the scariest part, nothing was stolen. It was 2:17 a.m. The house was quiet. Too quiet. No TV humming in the background. No notifications pinging on my phone. Just the sound of my own breathing, slow and steady in the dark. That's when I heard it. A soft, unmistakable sound from the kitchen. A drawer opening. Not slammed. Not yanked. Just a smooth, quiet slide. I didn't move. Didn't breathe. I didn't even blink. My whole body went rigid. Every muscle locked in place. Because the sound wasn't rushed or frantic. It was careful. It was deliberate. Like someone who knew exactly which drawer they were opening. Like someone who knew the house. Then, footsteps. They crossed the hardwood of the hallway. Each step slow and heavy. They weren't trying to be silent. They were just walking. The steps stopped right outside my bedroom door. I stared at the door, waiting for the handle to turn, waiting for a knock, for anything. But there was nothing, just waiting. The silence from the other side was a physical presence. My hand, shaking, reached for my phone on the nightstand. I grabbed it, my thumb fumbling for the power button. The screen lit up the room for just half a second, a bright flash in the pitch black. But it was long enough. In the reflection on the dark screen, I saw it. Movement under the door, a shadow, thin and dark, blocking the sliver of light from the hallway. A shadow standing way too close. My heart hammered against my ribs. I dialed 911. My voice was a choked whisper when the operator answered. I gave her my address, my hands trembling so hard I could barely hold the phone. I said the words, "I never, ever thought I'd diabito say someone is inside my house." The operator's voice was calm, but her question sent a fresh wave of ice through my veins. "Are you sure it's not someone you know?" I couldn't answer. How could I be sure of anything? Suddenly, the sound stopped. No more footsteps. No more drawers. Complete and total silence. And somehow, that silence was infinitely more terrifying than the noise. The noise meant I knew where they were. The silence meant they could be anywhere. The police arrived in 6 minutes. It felt like 6 years. They swept through the house, flashlights cutting through the darkness. They checked every room, every closet, every window, every possible hiding spot. They found no signs of forced entry. All the doors and windows were locked from the inside. They confirmed nothing was missing. My wallet was on the counter, laptop on the desk, television onto wall. Nothing was disturbed, except for one thing. On the kitchen table, illuminated by an officer's flashlight, was a single piece of paper, a piece of notebook paper, neatly folded. It wasn't there before. I knew it wasn't. The officer unfolded it. It was handwritten. The title at the top said, "Things I checked." And below it was a list. My full name, my ED number, my work schedule for the next week, a hand-drawn, surprisingly accurate layout of my bedroom. This wasn't a robbery. Nothing was stolen because nothing was needed. This wasn't about taking things. This was about gathering information. Someone didn't come to steal. Someone came to confirm something. Someone came to study. As the officers were getting ready to leave, one of them turned to me.
Everything was silent, except for the frantic pounding of her own heart. Her first thought was that the girl needed help. Maybe she'd had an accident. Jenna fumbled to roll her window down just a crack, the cold night air rushing in. "Hey, are you okay? Do you need help?" she called out, her voice trembling slightly. The girl didn't answer. Instead, she moved. Ever so slowly, she lifted her head, letting the wet strands of hair fall away from her face. Jenna gasped. Where her eyes should have been, there were only two empty, cavernous black pits. It was like staring into a void.
My father was murdered on a Tuesday night. No witnesses, no forced entry, and no suspects. Because according to the police, no one else was home. But there was one problem. The call came at 6:42 a.m. It was a number I didn't recognize, but I already knew what it was about. I knew because my house was too quiet that morning. My father never, ever missed breakfast. It was the one constant in our lives. So when the kitchen was empty and silent, a cold dread settled in my stomach long before the phone even rang. The police found him in the living room. There were no signs of a struggle, no broken furniture, no overturned lamps, nothing out of place. It was just my father, lying where he always sat in his favorite recliner. The TV was still on, its volume low, casting a soft, flickering light across the room. It looked as if he had simply fallen asleep watching his show, as if nothing had gone wrong at all. The scene was disturbingly normal, which made it all the more terrifying. It didn't look like a crime scene. It looked like home. Every door was locked from the inside. The deadbolts were thrown. All the windows were sealed shut, just as we left them every night. The alarm system was still armed, untouched. The first officer on the scene, a man with tired eyes, asked the obvious question. "Did your father have any enemies?" I said no, and I meant it. My dad was the kind of person everyone liked. He was a quiet man, kept to himself, worked his 9 to 5, and spent his evenings at home. The idea of him having an enemy was just absurd. The medical examiner put the time of death between 10:30 and 11 p.m. Hearing those numbers made something uncomfortable surface in my mind, a detail I hadn't considered. At 10:45 p.m., I was in my room, just down the hall. I was watching videos on my laptop, with my headphones on. The volume turned up. I didn't hear a thing. Not a cry, not a sound, nothing. The silence from that night suddenly felt heavy and accusatory. How could I have been right there and heard nothing? A detective, a sharp woman with a notepad, pulled me aside later. She asked me, "Did you see your father last night?" I nodded. "Yes," I said. He was watching TV. In that chair. Same position. I watched as she paused, her pen hovering over the page for a moment before she wrote something down. Her expression was unreadable, but a chill ran down my spine. It felt like ED just said something wrong, something important. During their sweep of the house, the police noticed something strange. My father's phone was missing. It wasn't a robbery. His wallet was on the table, cash still inside. My laptop was in plain sight. Nothing of value was taken, just the phone. It hadn't been stolen. It was simply gone. This detail seemed to bother the detective more than anything else. A crime without a motive is a puzzle without edges. 2 days later, they found the phone. It was hidden inside the house, tucked away in a dusty box in the attic, a place only family would know to check. On it, there was one unsent voice recording. It was my father's voice, but it was shaky, filled with a fear I had never heard before. He said, "If something happens to me, check the hallway mirror." The hallway mirror had been there for as long as I could remember. I passed it dozens of times, every single day, never giving it a second thought. It was just part of the house. Behind it, after carefully prying it from the wall, the police found fingerprints, mine, and a set belonging to someone else, someone unidentified. That's when I remembered something, a tiny, insignificant moment from that night that I had completely ignored. Around 10:40 p.m., my headphones had disconnected for just a few seconds. In that brief window of silence, I heard my father call my name. His voice was faint, but it was clear. I didn't answer. I just reconnected the audio and went back to my video, annoyed at the interruption. I didn't get up. I didn't open my door. The case was never officially solved. There were no arrests, no trial. It just went cold. But before the lead detective left for the last time, she told me something I'll never forget. She looked at me and said, "Sometimes, the most dangerous thing isn't anger or hate. It's familiarity." My father was murdered inside his own house by someone who didn't need to break in. Someone he trusted enough to call by name. So, tell me, who do you think killed my father? And why do you think I didn't open my door? Let me know your theory in the comments below. Before you decide what this story is about, listen to the words carefully. Because the mistake most people make is assuming they already know who's missing. In this case, the kidnapping is real. The question is, who was actually taken? The man sitting in the police station is named Lucas Hawley, 27 years old. Looks calm. Too calm for someone whose sister disappeared last night. He leans forward and says, "Only one sentence. My sister's been kidnapped. Her name," he says, "is Emily." And then he stops talking. He doesn't describe her face, her clothes, her age. Who's their name? Police searched their system. No birth record, no school file, no ID. It's as if Emily Hawley never existed. When officers ask Lucas about this, he answers quietly. She doesn't go outside much. That explains a habit, not an entire lifetime. Police visit Lucas's home. It has 2 bedrooms. One is clearly lived in, the other is perfectly clean. No dust, no personal items, no signs anyone ever slept there. It doesn't look abandoned, it looks prepared. Lucas hands over his phone. There are text messages from a contact saved as Emily. The replies are short, no emojis, no voice notes, and every single message ends the same way. "I'm fine," not just once. Every time. Lucas says Emily was taken at 9:12 p.m. But security cameras tell a different story. No one enters the house, no one leaves, except for Lucas. At exactly 9:14 p.m., 2 minutes later, the front door is locked again. From the inside, a therapist is brought in for questioning. Lucas has been seeing her for years. His file lists anxiety, isolation, and dissociative episodes. And one repeated sentence: "I don't like being alone." There is no mention of a sister. Not once. Police find an old audio diary. It's Lucas's voice, but younger. He says, "If I talk long enough, it feels like someone answers." Static fills the recording for a moment. Then, another voice. Soft. Familiar. "I'm here." It has the same tone, the same rhythm as the text messages. Emily wasn't kidnapped. She never existed outside that house. She wasn't a person. She was a voice. A presence created to fill the silence. Something Lucas needed to survive being alone. But then, police noticed something. If Emily was imaginary, then who left the house at 9:14 p.m.? And why does Lucas keep repeating? She didn't deserve what they did to her. Who is they? Lucas reported a kidnapping, but no sister was taken. Or maybe someone finally was. So tell me who do you think was kidnapped and who made sure no one noticed? Comment your answer below. Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe for more stories like this. Before this story ends, you'll hear the same phone call 3 times. Each time, something changes, and one of those versions was never real. You need to listen carefully. The truth isn't hidden. It's repeated. A phone vibrates on a kitchen counter at 11:48 p.m. The call is from an unknown number. A voicemail is left, just 12 seconds long. It's a man's voice, calm and controlled. He says only one thing. I didn't mean to stay this long. He doesn't sound scared. He sounds finished. The next morning, there's police tape around a small rental house. The man was Daniel Reeves, 29 years old. He was found alone in his living room. There was no sign of a struggle, no forced entry, just his phone, face down on a table, and in the system logs, one unanswered call still ringing. The call never disconnected. We talked to the people who knew him. His sister says Daniel absolutely hated talking on the phone. A coworker says Daniel was a night owl, always talking late. His ex-girlfriend says he promised he would never call her again. 3 people, 3 different versions of the same man. Each person is confident, but their stories are incomplete. Only one of them knew his night routine. And here's where it gets strange. The timeline has a problem. The digital clock on the voicemail says 11:48 p.m. But Daniel's phone records show he was already on another call at that exact time. For 9 full minutes. A call with no audio, just pure silence. Think about it. You can't receive a voicemail while you are actively on another call. Let's listen to the voicemail again. This time, listen closer. The voice pauses right before speaking. It's like someone waiting for a response. Someone who knows they're being listened to. This wasn't a message left for someone. It was part of a conversation. The police asked everyone what they were doing at 11:48 p.m. The sister said she was watching TV. The coworker said he was driving home. The ex said she was asleep, but the phone data tells us one of them was already on the line with Daniel. One of those stories doesn't require using your hands. Let's play it a 3rd time. Slowed down. In the background, a new sound appears. It's not breathing, not movement. It's a notification chime, the exact same chime you hear when a call is placed on hold. Daniel didn't leave the voicemail. Let's put all the pieces together. Daniel was already talking to someone. That person recorded a voicemail while keeping him on the line, tricking the system into thinking Daniel had called himself. And when the call ended, only one phone disconnected. One person stayed on the line. One person didn't need to touch their phone, and one person remembers the call completely differently than everyone else. So tell me who made the last call, and more importantly, who never hung up. Let me know your theory in the comments. Thanks for watching.